A few weeks ago, I went on a trip to some old ruins in Mexico. I'm Nicolas, 35, and I'm a travel blogger. I love uncovering hidden histories for my followers. While researching, I stumbled upon the legend of Don Ignacio's treasure. At first, I thought it was just another story. I was wrong. The idea of finding something real sparked a thrill in me. The jungle was thick and humid. The sounds of strange animals filled the air. I felt excited and scared at the same time. Armed with my camera, I made my way through the dense vines. When I reached a clearing, ancient stone structures rose before me. They looked forgotten by time. I felt like I had found the perfect spot for my followers. As I explored the ruins, I saw something odd sticking out of a crevice. I pulled it out. It looked like an old map. The ink was faded, but I could see hidden passageways and symbols. There was a warning, but it was in a language I didn't understand. I thought maybe I should leave the map, but curiosity got the better of me. I was there for an adventure. I decided to follow the map deeper into the ruins. That's when I started to feel uneasy. Shadows flickered at the edge of my vision. I would turn to look, but nothing was there, just stone and vines. I heard echoes of my own voice, but they felt different, almost mocking. My heart raced, but I pushed those thoughts away. I had come too far to turn back now. As I went deeper, I felt like something was watching me. The whispers of leaves seemed to surround me. I stopped. Focus on the map, I told myself. But then I remembered. There were stories of people disappearing while looking for Don Ignacio's treasure. Why hadn't that thought hit me sooner? Each step I took felt heavier. The air was thick and I was sweating. Strange symbols were carved into the stones. They were not like anything I had ever seen before. My hands were shaky. I didn't know if the treasure was real or if it was a warning. The sensation of dread wrapped around me. I turned around. My escape route felt miles away. Then I heard something moving behind me. I whipped around, but there was nothing. I was alone. The feeling of being watched creeped back in. I thought about leaving, but my feet refused to move. There was a pull, a feeling I couldn't shake. It was like the ruins invited me deeper. And then I heard it. "Help me." The voice echoed in the silence. It wasn't mine. I froze. I felt cold sweat on my brow. My heart thumped loudly in my chest. I was terrified, but I couldn't move. Where was that voice coming from? The jungle felt alive with whispers. I didn't know what to do. I stood there, heart racing, waiting for something to happen. I stood frozen, my breath hitching in my throat. "Help me," the voice called again, more desperate this time. I strained to listen, trying to locate its source. The ruins felt like a labyrinth, and the sound bounced around, disorienting me. I had to move, to find out who or what was calling out. I cautiously traced my steps, using the map to guide me. My hands were clammy. With each step deeper into the overgrown stone corridors, the feeling of dread heightened. It was as if the air thickened, each breath a little more labored. I could still hear the whispers, flowing around me like a sinister breeze. I turned a corner and came to a large chamber. Starlight streamed in through a crack above, illuminating the space. Piles of rubble lay scattered. In the center, a weathered stone pedestal stood. It looked like a place meant for offerings, but my gaze was drawn to a figure on the ground nearby, half hidden by vines. As I approached, my heart raced even faster. It was a skeleton, bones bleached and brittle. It lay in a twisted position, as if it had been trying to crawl away. The remnants of clothing clung to the bones, fragments of a once regal outfit. I stumbled back, the map slipping from my fingers. I had hoped I might find treasure,
But now, faced with this relic of the past, I felt a chill down my spine. "We need to leave," I muttered under my breath, but the pull of the mystery was too strong. I crouched down closer, studying the skeleton. Hidden beneath a pile of dirt was a small metal box. My heart fell when I realized a part of me had already decided to open it. Digging through the dirt, I unearthed the box. It was cold to the touch and surprisingly heavy. I hesitated for a moment, afraid of what I might find. The stories I had brushed aside bubbled back to the surface. Every tale of lost souls in search of treasure drifted in my mind, but I couldn't just leave it there. I flipped the lid open. Inside, I found strange gemstones that flickered in the dim light, their colors like trapped rainbows. I couldn't believe my eyes. This was treasure. But as I reached in to take them, I heard it again, a sharp whisper, "Don't." The voice was clearer this time, filled with sorrow. I recoiled, clutching the box tightly. The energy in the room shifted. A cold breeze brushed against my skin, and I felt something stir within the shadows. Fear twisted in my gut. Whatever had been guarding this place wasn't happy to have intruders. Suddenly, the ground rumbled like a warning. I glanced around, looking for an exit, but panic surged through my veins. The walls seemed to be closing in, and I knew I had overstayed my welcome. As if responding to my anxiety, the box clamored against the stone. I decided in that moment to run. I sprinted back the way I had come, heart pounding in my chest. I could hear whispers behind me, angry and accusatory. The exit felt miles away. Just as I reached the dark corridor, a shadowy figure materialized at the edge of the chamber. I stumbled, nearly falling. Was it too late for me to escape? I had to find a way out, and fast. Then, as I dashed forward, I felt a hand brush against my back. It was icy, like death itself. I turned to see what was behind me, but the figure was gone. The air around me crackled.
I had to get away. I moved forward, adrenaline high, hoping the darkness would shield me from the wrath of the whispers. I ran into the unknown, not knowing what waited just outside the edge of the ruins. I burst through the dark corridor, my heart racing as I searched for an escape. The whispers faded, but left an echo in my mind, relentless and haunting. I stumbled into an open space, but it wasn't a way out. It was another chamber, just as imposing as the last. My feet skidded to a halt, the metal box still clutched tightly in my hands. The walls here seemed to pulse with a strange energy, as if they had witnessed countless secrets unfold. In front of me, a massive stone archway loomed, its entrance shrouded in darkness. Just beyond it, faint flickers of light danced like fireflies, taunting me. Were they a sign of safety or another trap? I hesitated, glancing back. The corridor I had just run from felt alive, as if it watched me. The feeling of being pursued returned, stronger now. I felt eyes upon me. But the strange glow drew me in, compelling me to step closer despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. If I was going to find a way out, this might be it. Taking a deep breath, I approached the archway and peered inside. The light pulsed rhythmically, illuminating a narrow path flanked by strange carvings on the walls. They depicted figures, some kneeling, some climbing, desperate for something I couldn't define. Were these the souls of those who had come before me, searching for the same treasure? I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts. I could feel the weight of the box in my hands, the gemstones inside still sparkling with an otherworldly light. I wanted to drop it, to toss it aside and run, but I also felt an unexplainable connection to it, a compulsion that urged me to keep going.
With each step, I felt the air grow heavier, thick with anticipation. The gemstones pulsed, almost in tune with my racing heartbeat. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind me. I spun around, my breaths quickening. The archway felt like my only escape. Run, I told myself, and I did. I sprinted forward, feet pounding against the rough ground, every nerve on high alert. Just as I reached the threshold, a shadow darted past, a fleeting glimpse of something dark and swift. It sent me barreling forward, and I barely made it through the archway in time. I tumbled into the light, landing on my hands and knees. As I regained my footing, I looked back into the chamber. That was when I saw it. A figure. It stood motionless in the darkness, a silhouette against the faint light. My stomach churned as recognition hit me. It was the same shape I had seen before, hovering just beyond the edges of my vision. "Leave!" a voice boomed, unnaturally loud and echoing through the air. It was the same voice from before, heavy with despair and anger. I backed away, feeling trapped between the figure and the walls of the archway.
A flash of light from the box in my hands caught my attention. The gemstones flickered rapidly now, casting strange shadows against the stone all around me. In that moment, the ground shook beneath me. I barely steadied myself as the figure advanced, the whispers returning, swelling to a deafening crescendo. I needed to decide. In the midst of the chaos, as terror clawed at me, I caught a glimmer of hope, a path winding deeper into the light. If I wanted to unravel the truth of Don Ignacio's treasure and find a way out, I would have to face whatever awaited me next. Before I could lose my resolve, I turned and dashed through the flickering light, plunging into the unknown. The tunnel seemed endless, stretching before me like a living organism that breathed in sync with my racing heart. The light flickered and shifted, a dance of shadows and brightness that disoriented me. I pushed forward, the box clutched tightly against my chest, its gemstones glowing brighter with every step. As I moved deeper, the air grew cooler, and the whispers grew louder. They wrapped around me, blending into a cacophony of voices that pulled at my thoughts. I could almost hear them speaking my name, urging me to turn back. I didn't know how long I had before whatever had chased me would catch up. Then I stumbled upon a grand chamber, even larger than the last. The ceiling arched high above me, disappearing into darkness. Ancient symbols lined the walls, glowing with the same light as the box. My eyes widened as I noticed one symbol that mirrored the shape of the box itself. I stepped closer, drawn to it. The air began to hum around me. The vibrations felt like a heartbeat, steady and unyielding. I reached out, my fingers brushing against the cold stone. Suddenly, the box in my hand surged with warmth, and the gemstones lit up, casting intricate patterns of light on the walls. "What is this place?" I whispered, half in awe and half in terror. I raised the box higher, hoping to unveil whatever mystery lay ahead. That was when I noticed something flickering in the corner of my eye. I turned, and there it was. Not just a shadow, but a figure emerging from the darkness. It was tall and gaunt, with hollow eyes that seemed to bore straight into my soul. The whispers crescendoed, blending with a low growl that echoed off the walls. "Return what you have taken," the figure rasped, its voice a chilling reminder of the anger I had felt before. I instinctively took a step back, clutching the box tighter. "No, I found it fair and square," I shouted, my voice betraying more fear than defiance. The figure began to move closer, its presence oozing the same despair that clung to the chamber like a fog. "Foolish mortal," it said, with a venomous hiss. "You disturb the ancient balance. You cannot claim what was never meant for you." Panic surged through me. The ground trembled again.
The ceiling rattled, sending small fragments of stone cascading down.
I glanced around, searching for an escape. The flickering light from the gemstones cast distorted shadows that seemed to come alive, warning me of the imminent danger. "Leave me alone!" I yelled, desperate. In an impulsive act of fear, I hurled the box away from me, watching as it skidded across the floor. Not thinking of the consequences, I turned and ran. But just as I reached the entrance to the chamber, the ground shook violently. I stumbled, my heart racing as I braced for impact. The whispers turned into a roar, and darkness enveloped my vision. I could barely make out the outline of the figure towering behind me, its eyes burning with fury. Then, everything went dark. I gasped as consciousness returned. My body lay on cool stone, the air thick with a musty scent that stung my nose. I blinked, forcing myself to focus, and registered the dim light filtering through cracks above me. I sat up slowly, every part of me protesting. Where was I? The chamber was empty now. The figure was gone. My heart raced as I pushed myself to my feet, the cold stone biting at my skin. I spotted the box a few feet away, its gemstones still glimmering faintly, casting soft reflections on the walls. It felt like a beacon, calling me back to it, but dread settled in my stomach. I had to get away. The tunnel I'd entered through felt like it had vanished. I searched the walls for a sign, some sort of direction. That was when I noticed the symbols again, glowing faintly in the dim light. They pulsated, as if alive, and the image that mirrored the shape of the box flickered. I stepped closer, barely daring to breathe. There had been something familiar about those symbols. They weren't just random carvings. They conveyed a message. I couldn't decipher their meaning, but felt a pull towards them, like they were speaking directly to me. The whispers returned, more urgent this time. They swirled around me, whispering fragmented phrases that felt like warnings. "Leave now. Do not disturb. He will come." Then I heard a sound behind me, the faintest shuffle of feet on stone. My heart lurched. I spun around to find darkness pooling where the entrance had been, shadows stretching toward me like icy fingers. If the figure was back, I wouldn't survive a second encounter. I ran toward the symbols, desperate for answers or an escape route. My fingers traced the glowing lines, each touch igniting new sensations, the hum resonating in my bones. In a moment of reckless hope, I pressed my palms against the symbol that resembled the box, expecting something to happen. Suddenly, the entire chamber lit up. The gemstones flared with blinding light, illuminating every corner, and the whispers grew into a chorus. I staggered back, shocked by the reaction. The energy swirled around me, gripping the air until it crackled with tension. Then I heard it, a deep, rumbling voice that resonated through the very stone. "You awaken what was asleep for centuries. You will face the consequences."
Panic surged again. I had to move. I dashed around the chamber's edge, looking for any opening, but it was solid rock. The walls tightened around me, and the air thickened as the presence from before materialized in the center of the chamber. It seemed to pulse with fury, its hollow eyes fixating on me. Then I saw it, a faint light flickering in the distance beyond the figure. It flickered and danced like a candle. "Run!" yelled another voice, piercing through my fear. I had only one choice. I bolted toward the flickering light, my heart pounding louder than the chaos swirling around me. Just as I reached what seemed like a gap in the shadows, I felt an icy grip on my ankle. "Foolish mortal," the voice hissed. And in that moment, everything shifted again. I was yanked to the ground, the cold stone kissing my face. My heart hammered in my chest as panic washed over me. The grip on my ankle was like iron, pulling me backward.
The figure loomed closer, a dark silhouette against the chamber's glowing symbols. I struggled, thrashing to escape its hold, willing my legs to move. Then I remembered the light. I couldn't let it go. With a surge of adrenaline, I kicked hard, feeling the icy fingers loosen. I scrambled forward, dragging myself across the floor until my fingers brushed the edge of the glowing symbols. They pulsed once, sending a flash of warmth through my body. The figure let out a growl of frustration. "You cannot escape your fate," it thundered, its voice echoing off the stone walls. I turned to face it, heart racing, dread pooling in my stomach. As I looked back at the symbols, something shifted again. The box on the ground, the one I'd seen before, started to hum. The vibrations resonated with the energy of the chamber, a connection forming. My instincts pulled me toward it, and I could almost hear it calling my name. I shook my head, trying to focus. The flickering light was still there, beckoning me closer. I pushed myself up, wavering on unsteady feet. I stole a glance at the figure. It was still distracted, consumed with its own fury. Now was my chance. Rushing toward the box, I could feel the energy intensifying. The gemstones brightened, casting roiling shadows on the walls. I touched the stones, as if they were a lifeline in the chaos. A surge of confidence flooded through me, fueling my determination to escape. But then I heard it, the roar of the figure behind me, a sound filled with rage and anguish. "You'll regret this!" it bellowed. My heart sank, but I didn't stop. I needed to get to that light. I broke away from the box, darting around the pooling shadows, heading straight for the glowing exit. The air sizzled with each step I took closer to the flickering light. Still, the thing behind me surged forward, its presence heavy and suffocating, a shadow against my escape. Just as I reached the exit, I heard the sound of stone grinding against stone. The entrance was closing, and panic surged within me. I pushed through the light, feeling a rush of heat as I crossed the threshold just in time. Then everything went dark. I felt weightless, like I was suspended in space. My body floated for a moment, quiet and calm. But then I plummeted, hitting the ground hard. I gasped again, blinking as I tried to orient myself. I was outside. The old ruins loomed behind me, silent and ominous in the moonlight. But something was off. The air felt different, charged, as if I had emerged into another world. The trees whispered secrets, and the wind rustled with urgency. I scrambled to my feet, my eyes darting back to the entrance of the ruins. The glowing symbols were gone, replaced by the heavy silence of night. But I knew I had disturbed something, and whatever it wasn't finished with me yet. That's when I saw it, a shadow moving among the trees, and I realized I wasn't alone. The shadow slipped between the trees, moving with an unnatural grace. My pulse quickened, and I felt a deep sense of dread wash over me. Why hadn't I stayed away from the ruins? What had I stirred up? There was no question this was connected to the figure. I could sense it. I took a few shaky steps back, my breath hitching in my throat. The moonlight peeked through the branches overhead, casting eerie shapes on the forest floor. That shadow was getting closer. Panic propelled me into a sprint, but it was almost like the woods were constricting around me, the branches reaching out like hands eager to trap me. "Please, let this be just my imagination," I muttered, glancing over my shoulder. The shadow was still out there, moving with purpose. Perhaps it was hunting me. I had to find somewhere to hide. Stumbling through the underbrush, I spotted an old, gnarled tree with a hollow at its base. It might offer some cover. I dove inside, crouching low, holding my breath. The forest felt alive, watching. The shadow paused, the silence stretching uncomfortably. I could hear only my heart pounding. After what felt like an eternity, brief glimpses flitted through the branches above. A dark figure, searching. I pressed my back against the rough bark, trying to become one with the tree. Minutes passed, or maybe hours, I couldn't tell. Just when I thought I had evaded whatever was hunting me, I heard a rustling nearby. There was a low growl, something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I squeezed my eyes shut, wishing the world to disappear. Then, through the rustling leaves, I heard a voice, a whisper carried on the wind. Find the treasure before it finds you. I opened my eyes, a chill curling up my spine. The voice had an ethereal quality, as if it were coming from the trees themselves. Was I imagining it? But then I remembered the box from the ruins. Could it be connected to this treasure? My mind raced, piecing together fragments of what I'd learned before finding the entrance. I had to return to the ruins.
There was something I needed to understand, something I needed to uncover. Suddenly, the shadows closed in again. A moment later, I felt my heart drop as the creature stepped into the moonlight. It was taller than a man, its features obscured by the dark. I tried to stay still, but terror pulled at my muscles. The figure's gaze locked onto mine. "Your fate is intertwined with the treasure," it hissed, jagged teeth glinting in the moonlight. "You cannot escape your destiny." I bolted from the hollow, adrenaline pumping through my veins once more. The forest became a blur of shadows and panic as I ran. I had to reach the ruins again, but I needed to be smarter this time. Whatever awaited me, I was determined to face it head-on. As I fled, I couldn't shake the voice's warning. What treasure? What fate? There were no answers yet, but I felt the urgency building. I could not let fear dictate my steps. And just like that, I caught sight of the ruins in the distance, some remnants of what felt like another life. I prepared myself, knowing I couldn't turn back now. If I made it back to those symbols, maybe I could finally uncover the truth. But I was not alone, and something was coming for me. The moment I reached the ruins, my heart raced, not just from fear, but from determination. Tall vines crawled over the stone walls, and shadows danced in the gaps between the crumbling bricks. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to focus. I had to find those symbols. I stepped carefully, glancing over my shoulder every few seconds. The forest still loomed behind me, a silent predator waiting to strike. I could feel that presence tracking me, but I had no time to dwell on it. I approached the entrance where I first stumbled upon the box. The same whispers seemed to echo in my mind. Find the treasure. My hands trembled as I brushed aside dead leaves and twigs, revealing the base of the wall where I remembered seeing those strange carvings. My fingers traced the rough stone, searching for the familiar patterns. I had felt a strange connection to them that day, but what did they mean? I needed to uncover it. Then I found it, the mark of a spiral, unmistakable against the darkened surface. It felt warm to the touch, pulsating with energy. I pressed my palm against it and felt a pulse, a beat that synced with my racing heart. Suddenly, the ground below me trembled, and I stumbled back, falling to the earth. At that moment, the whisper returned, clearer than before. Unlock the secret with your blood. What did that mean? I glanced around, panic coursing through me. I wasn't about to sacrifice anything. Nothing in these ruins was worth my life. But deep down, my curiosity fought against my better judgment. I had to find out and find it fast. As I pushed myself up, the air thickened with tension. I could hear it, the rustling that I had tried to ignore, the sound growing closer.
I peered into the dark places of the ruins, expecting to see that shadow. The hairs on my arms stood on end as I thought of that creature, its sharp teeth glistening, waiting for me to falter. I turned back to the markings. There had to be more. The connection to a treasure was tangible in my mind. Maybe if I deciphered the symbols, I could outsmart whatever was hunting me. I could hear faint scratching noises now, echoing off the walls, and I felt the primal instinct to flee rise within me again. Then, out of nowhere, a section of the wall shifted. A hidden drawer slid open, revealing a small, weathered chest inside. It had to be the treasure. This was what I was looking for. I reached for it, heart pounding. But as my fingers brushed the lid, I heard a deep growl that sent chills down my spine. I froze. The growl resonated from just beyond the entrance. The creature was here. In a whirlwind, I snatched the chest and stumbled away from the wall, adrenaline surging. I had what I came for, but I could feel the danger closing in. The shadows deepened, and I barely had time to register the dim light flickering behind me. With the treasure in hand, I dashed toward the exit, knowing the creature would not let me leave easily. My heartbeat echoed in my ears as I tried to remember the way back. All I could think was that I might be running for my life, but I had uncovered something significant. Before I could think too much, I stepped back into the forest. But the chase was just beginning. I sprinted through the underbrush, my breath coming in rapid bursts. The weight of the chest felt heavier with each step, a reminder of what I'd taken from the ruins and the danger that followed me. The growl grew fainter, but I knew it wouldn't be long before it was back on my trail. With every rustle of leaves, I glanced over my shoulder, half expecting to see that creature lunging at me. My heart hammered in my chest, not just from fear, but from the thrill of discovery. What was in that chest? I had to get to safety to see. The trees blurred as I pushed through them, urgency pounding through my veins. I needed to find a place to hide, to catch my breath. After what felt like an eternity, I stumbled upon a thicket, dense enough to conceal me. I dove in, clutching the chest tightly as I pressed my back against a thick trunk, listening. Silence enveloped me, broken only by the soft sounds of the forest. I tried to calm my racing heart, but the fear of the creature still lingered. What did it want? Did it guard that treasure? Or was it simply hunting me? After a minute, I took a deep breath and opened the chest. I needed to know what I had risked everything for. The hinges creaked as I lifted the lid, revealing a jumble of items wrapped in faded cloth. I pulled free a piece of fabric, revealing delicate carvings etched in metal. They glinted in the little light that seeped through the branches. Then I found a small red gem nestled in the corner. It felt warm in my hand. I held it up to my face, mesmerized by its deep color and the strange patterns that swirled inside. Suddenly, the whispers returned, echoing in my mind. The heart of the forest, the heart of the treasure. What did that mean? I stared at the gem, a surge of energy pulsing from it, beckoning me to understand. I thought about the spiral carving on the wall. Was it connected? My hands trembled as I placed the gem back into the chest. I couldn't let my curiosity take over again, not when danger lingered. But something shifted in the thicket. A low growl sounded, closer this time. Panic flooded through me. I hadn't been quiet enough. I glanced around, searching for a way out. I couldn't stay here. My instinct screamed at me to move. I quickly shoved the chest closed, holding it against my chest as I scanned my surroundings. The growl turned into a snarl, echoing through the trees. It knew I was near. With no time to lose, I bolted from my hiding spot, sprinting deeper into the woods. Branches clawed at my skin, but I couldn't slow down. I had to get away. That creature wouldn't let me escape so easily. Just then, I stumbled over a root, crashing to the ground. The chest flew from my grasp, landing open and spilling its contents. I cursed under my breath, scrambling to gather the pieces, but my heart sank when I looked up. That silhouette was standing between me and the path ahead. The creature's eyes burned brightly in the dim light, narrowing as it advanced. I backed away slowly, the weight of the chest forgotten. "Please, just let me go," I whispered, but it didn't seem interested in negotiations. Then, amidst my fear, I heard a different sound, a voice coming from the shadows behind the creature. "Keep the gem close. It knows you now." I felt a strange pull, a need to understand. But before I could process it all, the creature lunged. I barely had time to react. Instinct kicked in as I dove to the side, barely avoiding the creature's lunge. The air rushed past me as I hit the ground hard. My heart pounded in my ears, but I immediately scrambled to my feet, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The glowing gem, abandoned in the chaos, seemed to catch the moonlight and pulse with a soft hum that reverberated through the clearing. I shot a glance back. The massive shape of the creature was regaining its footing. Panic flooded me anew. I couldn't afford to let it get the upper hand. Without thinking, I sprinted back towards the gem, desperate to reclaim whatever power it held. My fingers wrapped around it just as the creature turned. Its eyes locked on me with a furious intensity. The air crackled with tension, and I could hear that low growl rumbling from deep within its throat. With the gem in hand, I felt an odd sense of clarity wash over me. The whispers became a chorus, urging me to act, to use what I had found. The ball of warmth pulsed energetically, as if it were alive. "Trust it," the voice from the shadows had said.
I raised the gem, heart racing, feeling a connection to the very essence of the forest. The creature charged at me, teeth bared, and I prepared for the worst. Just as it lunged again, I shouted, "Leave me alone!" The gem flared brighter, casting a dazzling light that sliced through the darkness engulfing us. The creature stopped, its snarl faltering as the brilliance washed over it, illuminating its twisted features. An unsettling silence fell as the light enveloped everything around me. In that moment, the whispers shifted, no longer frantic, but calming. The voices seemed to resonate with the gem's light, weaving a tapestry of peace that calmed the very air around me. The creature hesitated, confusion flickering in its eyes as the brilliant glow radiated outward, encircling us both. Could it be? As my heart began to quiet, I stepped forward, the light emanating from the gemstone amplifying my courage. The creature's growl turned to a low whine, and it shrunk back from the luminescence, uncertainty etched on its face. "What do you want?" I called, barely above a whisper, half dreading a response. The creature stopped its advance, uncertainty flickering across its face. It seemed to be waiting. The gem pulsed again, and I sensed a depth of emotion in the moment. Pain and sorrow spilled into the air between us, whispers amplifying in intensity, yet maintaining their melodic nature. "Do you guard this place?" I asked, hearing the tremor in my own voice. The creature's menacing facade flickered, slowly morphing into something less threatening. It nodded slightly, the tension dissipating but not vanishing. Fear dwelled within its hollow eyes as time stood still between us. The moment stretched thin, uncertainty and hope battling within me. I took a deep breath, managing for the first time a steady voice. "I didn't mean to disturb anything. I just wanted to understand."
As if responding, the forest whispered back, swirling shadows coalescing into shapes and voices telling stories of lost souls and awful fates. It felt alive, every branch reaching out as if to communicate. I understood now. The treasure was the connection, not the gems or riches. The creature's form softened, the sharpness of its features gradually fading, revealing something wise, ancient. It seemed almost human in its shifting expression, a guardian of the forest harboring untold knowledge. But the moment broke too quickly. With a shudder, the light dimmed, the creature's expression turning resolute once more. I could feel the weight of time on my shoulders, the shadows shifting as the whispers grew louder again. "You have much to learn," the silence echoed through the trees. "But beware, every choice has consequences. The dangers are not just in what you seek, but in what you choose to leave behind." Before I could respond, the creature vanished into the thick foliage, leaving me alone in the clearing, heart racing, but mind brimming with realization.
I was safe for now, but aware that this wasn't over. Had I found a path toward understanding, or merely evaded a fate I hadn't yet encountered? I sank to the ground, still clutching the gem. The whispers faded, but they didn't disappear. I could feel them wrapping around me like a fog that wasn't yet ready to retreat. I wasn't ready to go home, not yet, not while the mysteries lingered on the edges of my understanding. I still think about that night sometimes. The forest calls to me in dreams, whispering promises, warnings, and something more. I could not shake the need to uncover those secrets, the treasure that remained, a connection that was not merely a physical prize, but a deeper understanding of myself and the world I had stepped into. I guess, in the end, the real question remains, was I hunted or was I chosen?